Hey everyone, I'm Sanket Singh. I'm working as a software engineer at Google, and welcome back to my channel. So, guys, today I have a very special guest invited for my channel. So, I have Rishabh with me. So, Rishabh is my college senior. So, when I was graduating, he was like 1 year senior to 2019 grad. And he was one of those people along with whom I closely worked with, I must say. We participated in a few hackathons. We participated together in Smart India Hackathon. Trust me, it was one of the best experiences as an overall team event and as well as overall hackathon. I got to learn with him a lot of things around data science and machine learning. And like whenever your college placement starts, so in the placement, I would say presentation, your placement cell coordinator comes and shows you the PPT of last year, very good student. So his image and his overall profile was there. So like he's one of those people who we really admired. And as a senior, he guided me a lot and like gave me a hell lot of experience in overall coding and software development, data science, and machine learning. And today I have invited him on the channel for getting some insights for all the freshers who are out there who wants to build a career in data science and machine learning. Why I have invited Rishabh here? Because just after graduating from my college in computer science engineering, he started working with Fyndd. Fyndd is one of the top startups of India, backed by Google as well as Reliance. He worked with state-of-the-art algorithms in the field of data science and machine learning. And currently, he is now working on his own startup that is Personate.ai. So it's a very innovative and I would say next big thing that you are going to see in the market. So I'll drop the link of all the references that Rishabh has worked on. He has also worked on a lot of research papers. So like if we will talk about what Rishabh has done, the video can go along for like half an hour, but let's just invite Rishabh. So hello Rishabh, how are you? How you are doing?
Hi Sanket, I'm doing great and looking forward for this amazing video and great talks ahead.
Yep. So Rishabh, like without any further delay, let's just start. So first of all, I would like to ask you the first question very straight. If someone is in their freshman year or sophomore year and they want to explore the field of data science and machine learning, what do you recommend to them? Like how should they start? What you did when you were in college, how you got so much interest into it and you achieved so great heights. So what's your insight on this for all the freshers that are out there?
So I'll start what I did. So in my first year vacations, so when the first year gets over, you get some vacations over there. At that time, I tuned into some data science courses just with a particular motivation that I want to build a recommendation system. So I used to view all this recommendation system all around me. It's like every search bar has a recommendation system attached to it somehow, because whatever you search, you get recommended a list of products or things in particular website, as well as when you are viewing a product you get recommendation below it also, right? So I was really fascinated at how are these people recommending this closed product. So I wanted to build something of that scale on my own. So I did started checking out internet about what is basically behind a recommender. And then I got introduced to the concept of data science, and at that year 2015-16 data science was actually getting into the mainstream fields that time. And I really discovered that many online courses are coming up on data science. At that time, Coursera and edX were actually flooding with courses all over there. And plus MIT and all these institutes have started started these programs which are which they teach particular deep learning as well as data science concepts in very much detailed practicality. So in my first year end, I did started with this basic courses. Okay, get a touch of data science, machine learning. At that time, deep learning was not that fascinating for me because there was not many much resources how to make that deep learning feasible on a system like on a simple MacBook or a simple system. That's why people were not even checking out deep learning at that time. But as a progress in the field of data science and machine learning, I encountered NLP at a phase. And at that phase I started developing NLP engines. So I came across systems like neural machine translations and all that. And that was a kickstart for me that, oh yes, many things are possible. And that was a phase when I transited from machine learning to deep learning as well. And because there were some papers and there were some GitHub implementations which were really getting famous at that time. So right now it is just flooded. GitHub is all flooded with deep learning projects. But at that time, only few projects which were really implementable on a small system were available there. So that's how I get started with machine learning and deep learning, building a recommender system, and then following it with small projects like a classifier and all that. My major motivation arises at that point that okay, classifiers are really cool. I remember building a classifier which classified between a face of Modi and Kejriwal at that time, and that was a really interesting project which fascinated me, that
Yeah.
the power of deep learning is really good. And I just wanted to make something cool. In a college, as a college student, you want to show your friends that okay, I want to build something cool, I'm doing something cool. So I start exploring multiple projects at that time. But what I really felt that being on a solo basis, you can't implement deep learning on that scale. So at that time, I saw that I needed institutional support or something like that. So I started finding internships everywhere, and landed on the first internship, second internship, and every internship after that I did four internships, and every internship after that were basically machine learning and nothing else. And when I landed up in these internships, I get access to high computing devices, which leveraged
Yeah.
my interest in deep learning, because now deep learning was possible for me. And at that time, I met a new concept of Google Colab also. Google Colab is an amazing thing which gives a GPU to you for free when until our runtime is running. So that thing actually escalated my learning in deep learning. And what I felt that I could have done better during those days, that for a newbie, if we want to join the data science field and want to go into this deep learning AI and particularly machine learning field, what I think that you should obviously start with some basic courses, get a hinge of that, and then decide at that point what part of machine learning or AI you want to specialize in. So there are multiple fields in artificial intelligence which you could specialize in. One is a visual computing field. So researchers over there are known as visual computing researchers or scientists. And then there are NLP. People are really working on NLP. Then there is tabular data, a proper machine learning field. And then there is something which is advanced research in AI, which is generative as well as kind of cross-modal learning, where people work with audio, video, and as well as NLP. So
Makes
as
sense.
you have to decide that at a phase when you have actually got a grasp over your basic machine learning curriculum. And at that point, if I could have done that, I could have got into proper computer vision properly by third year. But I did that during my fourth year, that okay, I'm going to pursue computer vision as a career now. And computer vision is a field which is right now automated with deep learning all over. So we have now deep learning networks coming up which are taking place of older computer vision algorithms, and making the state of the art. So that's what I think a curriculum should be. Learn the basics, get a touch of everything in basic machine learning and data science, and then decide that okay, I'm really good with image data, or I'm really good with textual conversational data, or I'm really good with tabular data. You should decide that and then work on it.
Makes sense. So like that definitely gave a very good perspective for a freshers from a fresher's point of view. Before moving forward, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, that is Crio.do. So I personally believe that all the students, instead of focusing just on how to get a job, they should focus on how to become a better engineer. And I believe personally that in order to become a very good engineer, you should be good at problem solving. And what's the better way to learn problem solving than project based learning? And Crio.do is bringing you a very immersive experience on project based learning. So at Crio.do, you can have specific tracks which are going to focus on exact real life projects, real life work experience, and job ready portfolios. Crio.do is something that is recognized by the industry. Even with companies like Flipkart, they run their own programs where they train the employees and the new software engineers of Flipkart. And you can get a similar experience by enrolling to their programs, which are basically focused on project building, project based learning, where you are going to be enrolled in one of the projects which are going to be a very industry ready project, and you are going to realize that what caveats, what checks are being done when you exactly build a similar product in the industry. You are going to have a similar team, you are going to have similar features to implement, and that is going to give you a very immersive and skill based learning, right? The whole program is much more practical oriented rather than theory. So, what are you waiting for? You can use the code in the description section to avail a 10% discount on their programs and start your project based learning with Crio.to. But a lot of students do ask me about the fact that if I want to pursue a career in machine learning and data science, do I need to learn a lot of maths? So like, what's your opinion? Like, do you think that when you were learning, mathematics was something that was a major part of all the things that you have learned, or like it's there, if you want to learn then only you have to learn? Like, what's your take on that?
So as and when I started, in machine learning as a proper, career choice in my college years only. So I started applying for internships, and in the first beginning of the interviews, I felt that I could actually rule those interviews. And but when I went into those interviews, people were asking me practical questions, right? And just studied every theory which is possible. And when you're a beginner, right, you don't have any exposure to practical data over there. So I did
Exactly.
encountered few very practical questions that, okay, how would you apply regression in this case, or how would you apply a basic normalization case? And that point I realized that, okay, knowing the basics is good, but if you're not practically implemented those basics, they are pretty much waste for you unless and until you practically try it on, right? So at that point, I started realizing that, okay, I need to do maths, but relevant to what is relevant to a project, right? So
Yes.
if you want to study maths, okay, go deep dive into maths, but study it related to a project, related to something which you could practically implement after a point. So according to me, yes, mathematics is a very important thing for deep learning and machine learning, and it's a must thing you should do. But you should do it more practically. Take cases of data, actual data flowing across the Kaggle challenges or something else, right? There are multiple ways you could get data, and apply these mathematical concept over there. That makes more sense than just studying this maths. The maths has no limit, trust me. And if you
Okay.
specifically talk about deep learning and artificial intelligence, maths has no bounds. Maths goes very deep, and it goes so deep that the research level just keeps on opening and opening. You could do very much specialization in mathematics over there. So for a data scientist, you don't have, in the in this present era, you don't have that much time to go ahead and do a PhD and then come back to this field, because you would have missed many more things which you could have done in that time, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a mind that, okay, I'm going to do a PhD in maths and then I'm come back to machine learning and all. Start your PhD studies in a practical way, and you would be better than a PhD guy, trust me. I take
Yeah.
interviews of many PhD people who are actually the so-called mathematicians and all that, but they have practical zero knowledge related to what they should do with their data, right? So a practical mathematical knowledge is a thing, not just a mathematical knowledge, I would say.
Cool. Yeah. So like all the viewers out there, if you want to have a, I would say, vote whether you should learn on maths or not, I guess Rishabh has answered all your questions. So as I said that you started your career with machine learning just after college. I've seen, like, personally, I've been into this overall hiring industry for quite some time. So I've seen some people definitely struggle with the fact that if they want to get a direct job as a machine learning engineer or a data scientist, which where they actually work on the state of the art algorithms, they find it a bit difficult to find these kind of jobs. So what's your take on that? Like, do you think there are significant amount of jobs that can cater this much volume of students who are getting so much interest in data science and machine learning, or they need to first of all get into the industry as a software engineer and then later take a shift in the overall domain? Like, what's your take on that?
So I would suggest there are two ways to do this thing. One way is that there's a whole lot of surge of AI startups coming up right now. So you would
Mm-hmm.
see your LinkedIn your LinkedIn wall just filled with AI startups. A video of some new product coming up. Go on product hunt. Every day a new AI startup is launched, right? So obviously there would be opportunities for people who want to work with core AI and as well as state of the art AI. There are lots of opportunities going to be there. But if you want to if you want to really pursue AI as a whole in an holistic view, or you want to feel what AI is, I would recommend that do it in an application perspective. You should have
Mm-hmm.
a learning of application development as well, because if you're just into going into research, that is a way that you could go from academia also, right? Just pursue research under
Yeah.
professor for years and years, right? That is one way. But if you really want to step into the software industry, you must know how to deploy things, right? First,
Yeah.
even if you are just okay, I would recommend it if a student is in a want to pursue his career just after the fourth year into machine learning and AI, try to crack up internships, and in that internships try to learn deployment statistics, how to how deployments are done, how optimization is done, how scaling is done of products. Once you get a hold of that, as soon as you step into your job years, in the beginning only, you would be ahead of your personal colleagues. I would say you would be ahead of your colleagues in many in many skill levels. Plus you could have a better understanding of how your model is being used over there. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
so the two ways which I earlier talked about, one way is that you obviously go into just proper research, keep on doing research, and okay, and you would come up a breakthrough after years, or in maybe 2 to 3 years, or maybe immediately also, depending on how what approach you are taking. But the other way is that go along with software development, start doing some basic application development, so that you could have a way to deploy your models or deploy your deep learning packages onto a server where customers or where users can actually use it. So
Yeah, exactly.
a better way could be that, I guess, application development plus machine learning.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I also definitely agree with that because research is something that can take a much longer time. But obviously, if you want to build up a career way ahead and starting from your bachelor's only, startups are definitely a very good way to start your career with machine learning. Because to be very honest, if as far as I can see the overall scenario in the big MNCs, they have a very structured way of doing everything, right? They will only allow the senior engineers to do the, I would say, to do the stuff of the overall state of the art algorithms. But like in startups, everyone has got an equal amount of stake. They has got equal amount of, I would say, say in all the products. So you can get an opportunity to work on the field that you really like much earlier in your career if you are going with these startups. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. One more question that I would like to ask to you, Rishabh. So like you worked with Fyndd, right? You worked with Fyndd. Now you're working with Person8.ai, like your own startup. You have thought of the whole idea. So I would say like since college, it's been a long journey. You learned a lot of things. You participated in a lot of competitions. You did a lot of internships. I also was there with you at ISRO. So like on and on and on. Like what's your next path? Like what next big things do you think you are planning, and if you can give us some insights on how do you think you are going to shape up your career as a machine learning engineer, because now since you have worked a bit around all the products of, let's say, Find and Person8.ai, so what do you think are can be the next steps for all those people who are like working as an engineer, as a machine learning engineer for 1 or 2 or 3 years, where they should step up? What can be the next steps in the career, if you can throw some light on that?
Yes. So as and when I started my job at Find, there was a very small team over there of machine learning engineers, and it's soon grow to a team of 30 people around. And
Makes sense.
there's a lot of opportunities, but what I feel that we were always short of people in machine learning team. And just because there's a thing in machine learning which is data collection. Okay, so in machine
Mhm.
learning, you don't have actual data in a company which is not working on that domain exactly. So Fine was a fashion domain company, and we were working on projects outside fashion domain. Just because
Okay.
the co-founder had a vision that okay, you can develop anything and just come to us and we'll monetize it. That's why we developed product like Erase.bg, GlamAR, and all that augmented reality products. So we were just doing all that, and then at that time we felt that you know uh, just working on algorithms doesn't make that much sense. You have to work on data as well, which is equally important: data sanitization, data collection. So there was always opportunity for people coming in just for data annotation. So we had a whole team of 7 to 8 people just annotating data over there in the office. So what I felt that okay, so there's a lot of scope which needs still automation at machine learning, in the
Yeah.
machine learning industry. One is a field where you could get data annotated at a very high speed, just then employing manual power over there. Then there's a whole lot of coming up research potential in the 3D domain. So at Find, we used to discuss this thing that, okay, can we apply AI to 3D? Can we start synthesizing 3D models? Can we start, making everything from 2D to 3D? And Google did a very big step in that. I guess they open source MediaPipe, right? So MediaPipe is, one of the state of the art models coming with 3D, 3D outputs and all. So Google did actually accelerates the AI industries from, from behind. And once Google does this, many companies onboard that, that train of, state of the art models and rise above that. So they, one of the good things about that is that they've also published papers, and you could actually make your own model inspired from that. So one of the things which is coming across the world, I'm seeing in a pattern, is that there's a lot of potential which is being emphasized on 3D deep learning, on assets of 3D. As you have seen, like Facebook just changed to Meta itself, right? Facebook has a more
Yeah.
holistic view of going into AR VR, properly into a social a social technology company, right? What they are calling
Hmm.
themselves, social technology company. What they actually want to, they want to construct something more of a 3D universe inside your head, right? And that universes would be constructed by 3D assets and everything, which is kind of, which would need automation at scale, and that would be all done by deep learning, I know. So I know by fact that, okay, everything is going to be done by deep learning at one point, right? So it's better to start vision, have a vision of those which technologies are going to come up soon, right? And
Okay.
start your journey with a thing in your mind that, okay, I'm soon going to build a small thing about that technology and get a feel of that, right? Because once that technology is, very big and open source, everything is going to be open source at one point, as I feel that
Yeah.
most of the things, might be paid or might be, under a, under a paywall right now, but they would be exposed to open source real soon by some other academia or some other thing. So as soon as they come open source, you would get a very big opportunity to learn from that thing and just build your own, right? You
Yeah.
get inspiration from open source. Okay, you get, okay, so something is really feasible, as I said, that, tracking objects in 3D was really a unfeasible thing few years back. But right, as soon as Google open source that, tracking in 3D, you could actually create data from those models and create your own models around. Okay, so
Makes sense.
these open source models could be your data sources. As I said earlier, that data annotation is a painful thing. That's why it halts company from progressing, right? But as soon as these open source models are coming, data creation is becoming very easy. So it is
Okay.
also, as at the same time, accelerating other startups. So if a startup is dependent on making 3D output data, right now making data from MediaPipe model has become feasible, right?
Yeah.
So now that startup is accelerated just because Google open sourced a model right over there. So these bottlenecks are getting cleared as we progress in this AI industry, and I would really, on my personal level also, I would really like to step into the AR VR industry within 2 years. So I had plans
Okay.
that stepping into the AR VR industry full on, after just stabilizing Personate AI. And what Personate AI plan, I have a vision of Personate AI is right now to just disrupt the chatbot industry. And we have seen text-based chatbots. These text-based chatbots are pretty much mechanical in nature right now, and you know
Mhm.
what response is going to come up after a point, right? And these chatbots are everywhere on the internet, right? So kind of get losing a touch of compassion and empathy in interactions, as well as
Yeah.
these chatbots lack a visual touch to your interaction, that if the chatbot wants to tell you something, it can't tell you visually, right? Over there, you just have to write in text. So a video
Yeah.
chatbot space is the one which we would be disrupting right now. And as soon as we are stable in this space, we would be moving into AR and VR spaces and some other techs which are the future techs for sure for the next coming 20 to 15 to 20 years. These tech are going to rule the industry, as I would say. And
Yeah.
soon many more startups will move into that line. We would see that gradual change. Like Facebook just did a very big, very good initiative of actually calling themselves, social technology company, which is which actually sets an example that yes, many more companies could come into this AR VR field and establish themselves right now.
Yeah. Their whole ecosystem can be much more bigger than just being a social media platform. Yeah.
Right.
So like they definitely have got definitely a good vision, and like
It could shift.
your vision is
Anyone could shift, right?
definitely.
Anyone could shift, right? If they are there, because very big companies have a very big inertia. So it's very difficult to move from one domain to another when you're very big, right? You can't just pivot like that.
Totally.
And but
Yeah.
Facebook did set up an example of shifting from a social media platform to a social a social technology company. So it's kind of
Mhm.
a very big good example that you should not be scared to just because of your inertia itself.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Like, and definitely your vision with Personate AI seems definitely very revolutionizing. And I believe if next time on your Swiggy orders, if you are asking for a refund and instead of a chat bot, as a person is talking to you, maybe Personate AI is behind all of that stuff. So really, really good luck to Personate AI and the whole team of Personate AI. I really appreciate and definitely believe about the fact that you guys are going to definitely disrupt the industry. And that being said, this was Rishabh Bhaiya with us. I hope that all of you guys got to know and some insights around data science and machine learning, how he actually started with. See, everyone has got their own learning path. Everyone has got their own optimized learning path that they can choose. So it's up to you. You guys, all of you guys are grown up child. So you know how you can learn, but definitely having stories of persons like Rishabh Bhaiya definitely inspires us a lot. He definitely inspired me during my college days. So all of our group was definitely fascinated about all the projects he used to do. So thanks Rishabh Bhaiya. Thanks for giving us your time. It was like pleasure talking to you. And if you guys enjoyed the whole video, then don't forget to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so that you can never miss a video from our channel. And if you have any doubts, definitely do drop them in the comment section. We will be happy to resolve them. Till then, take care, guys. Bye bye. Have a great week ahead and love you all.